All right, Wack Deuce.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Murder Rap. Thank you.
Man, thanks for having me.
How did you originally get involved with the Pirus and all that?
I was born and raised in the neighborhood I represented from birth. My parents, my daddy, my uncles is really the ones kind of like the foundation of where we all come from, as far as the mob go.
And was that Looters originally and then moved in?
That was Looters originally.
Yeah.
But they was kind of the branch that started the mob.
Right.
My dad, my uncles, and
yeah, Mob came out of Looters Park.
Right.
A lot of people wonder what was the relationship like between Mob and Looters Park? Was it pretty close still?
Very.
Yeah.
Very. I mean, even now, you have your inner beefs, a little shit going on, but for us older generations, it wasn't that. We wouldn't have made it if we all didn't get along. Wasn't enough of us, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Today is different.
What's going on today?
Oh, everything is cool now, but the younger generations, it's not blood and crip gang banging like that no more. And when that don't happen, then people tend to get into it with each other. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's the younger. But all that's kind of, buried under the sand.
Right.
We're trying to keep it together, get everything right.
When all this went down in the late 90s, you were a youngster. You were like 16?
Right.
What was it like? I mean, how did you get included as a teenager, basically?
I mean, everybody, they seen me grow up my whole life. You know what I mean? So, really came through Buntry and Trey.
Okay. That's who you were close with?
Yeah. All of them, though. I love them all of them, the big homies, It wasn't me. To me, I was like they nephew. Like, I was the first son as far as the mob go. Everybody else is this older people, but they was all females. So I was kind of the first kid who both his parents was in the streets, you know what I mean? As far as the boys go.
Right. And then how did you end up getting involved with Death Row?
I had gotten in a little trouble, got out of that, and we went around the corner to go see Trey and Buntry, and Trey was like, man, it wasn't even, everybody knew I was rapping, but it wasn't even really about that. It was more so, let's get these little bastards off the streets, you know what I mean, before they get themselves in trouble.
Right.
I remember before Pac came to Death Row, Suge, they used to come around, they always did stuff. Buntry still lived in the neighborhood. Everybody's parents was in the neighborhood. Trey people's, so me, junior high school, seeing them rolling, you know what I mean? Who wouldn't? That's where you're supposed to want to be, you know what I mean? So we stayed, every time they was around the corner, we walked around, me, my cousin Dank, Big Wack, our little team, we pull up, walk up, because we was teenagers, you know what I'm saying? Like 8th, 9th grade. So, in coming up, and I was always around. We was always outside, fighting, whatever, coming up in Compton. So we was the dudes who was outside. And then they just decided first it was like, give you some job, then they knew I can rap, and then everything else came with the rapping once, kind of me and Pac bumped heads.
How did you and Pac start to get to know each other?
Well, they came, it was around California Love video, right? I think I was 16, probably just turned 16 or something like that. But they was in the neighborhood, and I walked around there myself, really to go catch up with Trey. I didn't even know all them was around there, but the Outlawz was in a truck, like maybe 2 houses before Suge Mama house. So I didn't know who they was in the truck. And for me, they wasn't close. I'm like, who the fuck is that? You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like mad dog in the car, so I walked up to Suge, and I was in that truck, and he said, oh, them Pac little homies, man, you need to go holler at them, go meet them. And from there, it was what it is now, to this day, my brothers.
Do you remember who was in the car specifically?
Gaddafi, Napoleon, Edie, Fatal, Noble, and Castro.
All the
my
main
dogs,
guys.
to this day.
And then how did it go from there?
Man, it was just cool. Like, that day, I think we probably went to the studio, and it was just kind of up from there. And I was from that point on, I was always with Suge. So, Pac had his little homies, and then Suge had us.
Right.
And mainly me, because I was everywhere he was at, you know what I mean? So, that's what it was about. He wasn't even worried about me rapping or trying to rap. He's like, I'm gonna teach you how to run a company. You don't need to, how that goes. Like, you're gonna be, just didn't pan out like that. But it was all to kind of bring us up and show you something different, you know what I mean? Besides what we've been seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like he was like that with Buntry and Big Jake kind of similar situations, kind of showing him how Neckbone started managing people.
Right.
So about a couple months later, I started getting payroll checks, and we was doing all kind of this and that, and he was giving me chances to figure out how to go past the check, to get your thing on up in here. Neckbone. I did whatever wasn't being done. I got some good ideas and this and that, and I've been learning from Suge every night, fucking with him and Buntry, you know what I mean? And I'm ready to put to work. You know, I used to sit up in the room and listen to demos for hours. I go in there with boxes of demos, lock the door in a little closet, and I'm listening to demos for hours, you know what I'm saying? I could discover an R&B group.
So that was kind of the idea?
Right.
Yeah.
Opposed to I'm gonna give you something, I can show you something too, you know what I mean? As far as the city, I mean, I just remember growing up and seeing a bunch of them with them lowriders. They, you know, everybody back then was having some money, you know, they was, like I said, it's a different world today with these kids. They, even in the music business, all they talk about is drugs, doing drugs. You know, we grew up talking about selling them. So to be a kid in that era, like right behind the NWA era, it was a lot of, the streets looked good. Black was real beautiful, you know what I mean? So those times just, I mean, as a kid, we used to have water fights with the next streets, and firework fights, we used to shoot Roman candles and shit at each other. We had great times, man.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of us, and my most blessed I feel about the way we grew up, as far as our generation and my crew, the homies, only 2 of us died. We only lost 2 people.
Of your age group.
Yep. Yep. Which is remarkable.
Yeah, because like the older generation, almost
Man,
all
they
of
was
them.
driving left and right.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was little, we had to sleep on the floor. It was so much shooting in Compton. Like when I was in elementary school, we had to sleep on the floor. So when we was coming up, we was like, yeah, no, we're not having that. So it worked out, like I said, only. And one of us, when Zabo, that's the one, Corn, well, he wasn't in our neighborhood when he got killed. And then the other homie, Bear, he wasn't in the neighborhood when he got killed either. He caught a stray bullet from somebody else's shit. But those are the only 2. So I feel like out of all the negativity we did all right. We did good. We was able to make it out, make it through. You know, now we either pushing 50 or in our 50s.
Right.
So it's a blessing, straight up.
Yeah.
Got kids and grandkids, and you know, who would have thought?
Do you remember when Tupac got signed and all that? Were you around?
I was in juvenile hall
Okay.
when he got signed, when he came, and I remember telling everybody, like, oh, when I'm out of here, that's where I'm at. And it all came to fruition, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it was only maybe 3-4 months or something like that before once he got there, then I came.
What memories do you have of Tupac? Like interactions with him? Do you have any specific?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, from the studio first, like the first time he heard me like rap with it, he came in and he was saying, man, I heard, you know, Suge was telling me he bring the little homies up here, you know, so a couple of them just got out of jail or whatever, and like, don't nobody, I just on some gangster shit. And then he like, but my homeboy said, well, nah, but he be rapping, you know what I mean? So he like, yeah, so I freestyle, he like, oh yeah. Like, keep doing it, you know what I mean? Besides that, like I said, we was always at the studio. Like, he lived at the studio, we stayed at the studio.
Right.
So it was just a bunch of random moments I can tell you running around. I mean, when people say he had Madonna and this and that up there, that shit is true.
What do you remember about?
Damn, I'm like, what? He had popping, man. But she did, people say yes or no, she definitely been at Can-Am, for sure.
She was at Can-Am?
Absolutely.
Wow.
But I think it was his birthday or something like that. And like people was running in and out all day. You know what I mean? They came through, she hung out with him, and then they went in the studio, and they didn't do no music, no, they was just hanging out.
Right.
I knew she liked me, easy, you know what I mean? Can I say if he fucked her or not? I don't know. Probably.
How did the other Mob Pirus feel about Tupac? Because he kind of was claiming Mob a little bit. Like, what was your perspective on that?
See, the thing about before he even came to Death Row, we was all fans, especially my generation, you know what I mean? So when he came and he got with the homies, I mean, he could have went with the dog, whatever choice he wanted to do, because it wouldn't have been no hard feelings. He just kind of jailed with us. So we all embraced him as far as him, like gang banging and this and that. No, first of all, we wasn't gonna have him doing. Who gonna do that? People get the perception of him saying he from the hood or him yelling MOB. It was like he color gang banging. He gonna first crip he see is a fighter. First enemy of the mob. He on that. It wasn't about that. He represented the hood because he liked what we represented. Period. As people, it wasn't even about Piru. It was about the mob.
Right.
You know, the way we get down, the way we all move. It wasn't a whole bunch of us, so they knew we all standing strong. Period. And that's more of what Pac clicked with.
Right.
It wasn't really. It was about Suge because Suge brought him around, but his bonds with Buntry, Bone, myself, Rock, rest in peace. He loved niggas, all of us. You know what I mean? And it was a mutual feeling. Him and Trey was real close in age, so it was all love, dog. Period. It wasn't. I hear certain people say certain shit, but at that time in life, everybody was great and loved it.
Yeah, it's not like he was putting in work
Right.
on the streets. Obviously, he's a rapper. He's a famous, he's a celebrity.
Right. It's not like he grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? But he was embraced for sure.
You feel like he was just kind of loyal to whoever was loyal to him?
Absolutely. And he wasn't no punk, so it's easy to fuck with somebody like that because y'all remind yourself. Like he starts, like they used to say we was a lot alike. Like I ain't going for it. And he was like, he didn't give a fuck that he was small. He didn't give a fuck how big you was. He wasn't finna bow down.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Pac, man. Even the ones who wasn't around Death Row, fuck with Pac. Period. They come around, it'll look like a concert around there. Everybody from everybody's neighborhood, they'll come. Some certain Crip dudes just try to put on some regular clothes, not dressed like us or nothing, but put on some regular, normal shit and pass by. Everybody like Pac,
I mean, reportedly, Orlando Anderson even said he was a Pac fan back then.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah. Do you have any other memories of any other Death Row stars like Snoop,
Yeah.
Dre and them?
I was with Suge when they did the depositions for Snoop murder case.
Oh, wow.
Snoop used to have his ring. I swear to God, I thought it was the flyest shit ever at the time. It was made it was a pinky ring, but it's made kind of like a pyramid. A lot. Snoop was around. Everybody, like I say, him too. It wasn't people think that the two sides of Death Row was separated or, they over here. No, we was all in that bitch together.
Right. Before things kind of separated, but
Right.
it wasn't like that. The whole
No,
time,
it wasn't.
right? What do you remember from the depositions from Snoop's murder trial?
I was just riding with Suge. I didn't even go in the courtroom. I sat outside. I didn't want to go in the courtroom.
Right.
But just going, walking, and the worry, they didn't know what was gonna happen. The lawyers was confident. Nobody in that position is 100% confident, whether you did it or not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you never know.
He didn't know what was gonna happen.
And then what do you remember when he was acquitted?
It was like a weight lifted off. Everybody Suge was happy. Snoop was elated, of course. You know what I mean? Everybody was happy. The lawyers won, but in all actuality, it could have went to, anyway. Like I said, whether he did it or not, he could have still been sitting in jail for that shit.
Yep.
And I think he, as far as like the relationship between him and Suge, he still owe a lot of gratitude to Suge for that. Because regardless if he did something or not, he knows his life was on the line. Period.
Right. And he got access to the best defense he could get because of Suge.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Dre? Do you have any impressions of him? Or?
Only one. The California Love video. And I didn't really see Dre too much after that. By the time I came around, was there daily, Dre wasn't around. Hardly ever.
What was the California Love video like? Were you out in the desert?
No, they was in the neighborhood
Oh, okay.
that day. And then they went to the swap meet and I didn't go. I wasn't there for the desert part of it.
Do you remember Kadada being around?
Yeah. Yeah, see, I lived with Suge and Pac used to live right down the street. So I would always, and then Outlawz was there. Pac had video games, like arcades and shit in his house. So I was always down there.
And where was that at?
In Malibu Canyon. Yeah, she was there with him and she didn't come out the room a lot. He didn't either. She said, leave me alone. What, y'all good? All right. That was it. But daily, I was always down there.
Right.
Man, it was a great time, bro. I'm telling you, it was an amazing time in my life.
Yeah, I mean, to be a 16-year-old, I mean, I was hanging out with Tupac when I was 16. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, right. Right.
To be a grown adult in that situation would be rad, but to be like a teenager,
Right.
Like,
Right, and I mean, I wasn't even like, I wasn't trying to take no picture. I was just there, you know what I mean? So never would have thought or foresaw what was gonna come.
right.
So I don't need no pictures or none of that. You wasn't no groupie shit, none of that, you know? It was a good fucking time. And that's another thing why they were saying, people would say, a lot of shit Pac was saying as far as how the mob goes or whatever. Suge wasn't making Pac say that. He couldn't make Pac say. Pac wasn't scared of Suge either. But that's what he fucked with. He liked the homies. So the things that he said, he wrote that shit. He didn't, nobody tell him to say that.
Right. Yeah, no one's gonna tell Tupac what to rap.
Nah.
So.
You know, Suge said he tried to sign him before when they did How Long Will They Mourn Me? You're right, that was on Above the Rim. And he said he was telling Pac, like, man, you know, I got these white, these Jewish business partners. You can't be saying about fuck white people. He told Suge, well, fuck you too. He said back, he was like, fuck you too, Pac. But he said that moment was what made him like him. Like, I really want to sign him now.
Because he was like,
I'm not bowing down to you either. So when he eventually signed him, you know, he said that story a bunch of times, because once he signed him, he was like, yeah, that's little bro now.
Yo, MTV definitely get they rock on.
Y'all know we down with this rock thing, 9-6 flavor death, bro.
But who knew it would last, this West Side style?
But if you believe in God, believe in Death Row East. All these weak rappers, Nas, all these suckers, they battling off of East and West like this is a game. This ain't no game.
Yeah, we was in Central Park that night. That's when he got that Nas and all them. Yeah, it was cracking.
I was there for the New York one where him and Nas had.
oh, can you tell me a background on that?
I've seen a bunch of interviews, especially people on Nas' side, talking it wasn't like that. They would have got their asses handed to them.
What have they said?
They was gonna shoot and this was gonna happen and they was ready to do this. They wasn't. Nas came humble. I was standing right here, Napoleon was standing right here. Nas was right there, Pac was right there. We was young, we had 100 people there from between us and the Jersey, nigga. We would have fucked them up in that place that day. So it wasn't no standoff how, like Nas' brother and them tried to make it. Because it would have went right up, right away.
And for people who don't know what the incident was, what was happening? Like, lay it out for us.
You know, he had his issues with certain people over there. He dissed Nas. He said he did say he was gonna take Nas off the song once they kind of talked. Nas told him, man, look, I ain't had no issue with you. I look up to you. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of like a hero of mine. Not on no, what's up now, or let's throw this shit to the side. The Pac said, man, he appreciated it. And it was love. He was like, all right, I'm letting you know now. I got this song about to come out. I dissed you on it. I'm gonna take you off. We good. Like, he told Nas he wanted him to be the one, kind of the front runner for the East Coast. All that portion of it is true. But as far as them saying, like, they was ready to fight and this and that, that's a bold-faced fucking lie. We'd have beat their ass. Easy call. It wouldn't have been no conversation. Especially then. I was in the car with Pac when Snoop did the infamous interview, right?
It was at the MTV Awards. He went to a radio station. They wanted Pac to go. Pac said, no, I'm going to the park with the homies.
He came, we was all in the car. Snoop walked up to that limo. He had a backpack full of weed. He told Pac, I finna go do this interview. Like, I'm about to smash on these niggas, basically. Listen to my interview. So Pac like, all right, we gonna drive around and listen to the interview. It was me, Pac, and Outlawz. And he got on the air and said, I don't have no problem with nobody. Pissed Pac off. He wanted to fight Snoop. And mainly because you just kind of like smiled in my face, like you slapped me in the fucking face. You told me to listen to you say, fuck it, you ain't got my back. And that's how you felt.
Wow. And tell for people who, the background, what was the interview about? What did Snoop?
He was just going to Hot 97 to promote Snoop, but he wants to promote Death Row shit, and it ain't with the whole East Coast type of shit, you know what I mean? But he just went on there and said Snoop Dogg was all about promoting Snoop Dogg, and I ain't got no problems with nobody. So, and then Pac felt like he didn't really have an issue with Dre. Shit he was on Dre about was for Snoop. So he's like, I'm riding for you, you ain't riding for me, you know what I mean? Because he didn't really give a fuck if Dre was there or not to a certain extent. Daz was there.
Right.
Who's super underrated as a producer, so Daz is that sound.
And then how did Tupac feel about Snoop after that? I mean, obviously a few days later he shot.
He wasn't fucking with Snoop. We was gonna have to have a meeting about it. We got back from Vegas, and he wasn't. I don't know how that was gonna pan out. I don't see him probably ever fucking with Snoop again. He hurt his feelings more than anything. You know what I mean?
Because not only did Snoop go and just basically kind of abandon him publicly, but also to tell Tupac, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
lay
he
it
said,
down.
I'm about to go ride on these niggas. He's verbatim. Listen to my interview. And when I come back, we gonna smoke. And he said, all right, I'm gonna ride and listen to it. And then immediately got on the air and said what he said.
Wow.
And it's good to, you know, be self-sufficient and promote yourself, but it ain't cool to say fuck your brothers in the process. You know what I mean? So we understood kind of both sides of it, but didn't get why would you do that?
Right. And why like be a snake about it
Y'all
like
supposed
that?
to be back to back together in a fight, not you standing across the street like Keffe D and them did his nephew. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That New York, we had a fucking blast. I mean, it was high tensions, but we was walking around, me, Pac, and Outlawz, just walking around New York. Niggas was coming up to Pac saying, oh man, fans, oh, we don't never see Biggie right here. Like, I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. We walking in the liquor store, you know, then we get in the car, somebody say, hey man, fuck you. Fuck you, Pac, you know. We had some good times, man. We went to Hawaii one time. I didn't go out of the country with him, like, I was too young, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my grandma went, well, I could have, but I just didn't. Really, that particular event, that New York trip, it was cool. It was real cool.
What did you know about Bad Boy messing with Southside Crips back then? Like, what were you hearing?
I mean, I knew some people from the South was hanging with them or whatever, but see, we used to see the Southsides a lot. And it wasn't never even though they was Crips and we the Pirus, it wasn't no initial beef. It wasn't like we see them in the swap meet, they see us. We wasn't, it wasn't no collisions. It was like, okay, what's up? At the end of the day, at that time, we kind of had mutual enemies. So we wasn't really, and they were over there, and you know what I mean?
The only rival the mob had with Southsides before Death Row is that they was Crips, we was Blood. It is what it is. We run into each other, that's what it was. It didn't have nothing to do with this situation, was a music situation.
It wasn't no issue, so when the shit happened at the mall, it kind of threw us for a loop. It was like, we be seeing these dudes all the time. Wasn't ever no problem.
Then this is when this incident happened at the mall. Now it's bigger than that. Trayvon got his shit snatched, or they tried to snatch his shit. He fought, he got his chain back. Now we got a problem. These cats done crossed the line. They done got at one of the homies.
And who was it that jumped Trayvon?
Baby Lane.
From what I heard, the homies was in there getting shopping. They seen, they kind of rushed him in Foot Locker, tried to corner him, right? It was two of the homies, it was 3 or 4 of them. It was another one of the homies that wasn't in the store. So they tried to get him, and then we found out that Puffy allegedly offered him $10,000 for a Death Row chain. He wanted to put one in the Bad Boy video. They didn't get no chain though. So one thing, not saying that they can't, but at least for my neighborhood, most of us can fight.
Right.
We grew up fighting, period. You know what I mean? So it wasn't gonna be no easy task to get that man shit.
Right.
They couldn't have got a quarter out of his hand. Not easy. That didn't work out well. But what it did was start some shit. Even for the ones that's not involved in music or Death Row. Because now it's like, oh, it's that on site.
Right. Now it's strictly gang issue.
On site, yeah.
What did you think when you heard that happened? Personally, what were you thinking?
First, who? That's what it was. For all of us, Tina, like, wait, what? All right, we'll see him. and it's up. We got to fight on site type, you know. But also, that kind of fucks shit up in certain ways because it's people on both sides that have alliances that, you know, people got people. I got people from Southside, you know what I mean? Certain homies got people from Southside and people that we love, you know what I mean? So it was fucked up. And it didn't have to be like that, especially with now we know the money that they was making. Puffy money wouldn't, you couldn't do anything like you could have took it when you started a business. You could have took your own money and did that because it was coming the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Keffe D even said, he goes, we were balling compared to them. Like they were just starting out still. He goes, we had more money than they did.
I think he wanted to be around that circle. He wanted to be in some kind of way in that light. You know what I mean? Now shit, with all these allegations on Puffy, ain't no fucking telling what they was doing and talking about.
And what do you think was in it? Why was Puffy wanting to get with Southside? Was it protection?
That and to kind of, from a man's point, be messy. Oh, we don't like them, y'all don't like them, or y'all like whatever with them. Let me align myself with these dudes. So he knew they was a big name out there too. So I don't even think it was more about the protection, it was about the reputation.
And just a way to kind of mess with Death Row even.
They know there was some niggas over there that's with everything we all with, you know what I mean? And they knew he had this big ass huge name, this big huge persona, and they can party it up and, you know.
Did Trey and Orlando Anderson ever have a beef before the Lakewood incident? It was just random?
Didn't even know him.
Wow. And then what was it decided after that? Was it kind of a next time we see them or?
Yeah. Fucking them up. Hey, can we catch him in that swap meet? It's on.
Were you aware of Orlando Anderson having any kind of a reputation before?
Yeah.
What was Orlando Anderson's reputation?
Oh, he was a gangster. You know, I'm not here to lie on nobody. He wasn't no bitch at all. He wasn't no punk. He went to high school. Him and one of my cousins was pretty cool. He wasn't no punk.
He's with the business. And everybody's sitting there talking about, oh, he's just doing it for the money. No, this is something Baby Lane do. He's a gangbanger. He's with it. He's not the young cat, and give him credit. He was with it.
And what was he like that you knew of?
Reputation like a lightweight bully, but not even, he'd fight anybody, you know what I mean? He gonna shoot whatever. But kind of like Brash Big Mouth, you know what I mean? And rightfully so. Everybody around him was having money. He the younger, like I was the youngest. He's maybe 3 or 4 years older than me though, but he had it good. And he was known. And you know, I got Crip family from other neighborhoods in Compton that, they all liked him.
There's conspiracy theorists out there that try and say that like the Lakewood Mall incident never happened.
That's just why they conspiracy theorists.
Right. Did you hear anything back then about there being any kind of a contract out on Suge and Tupac?
No, I just knew that it was allegedly a contract for the Death Row chain.
Right, the bounty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suge, after Tupac was killed, Suge supposedly told someone that he knew of like 3 contracts that were out on his life.
It came out after, but yeah.
But back then you had...
But not around the time the chain shit happened, no.
Vegas fight's coming up. How is it decided you're gonna go with everybody out to Vegas, and how was that whole trip planned? What do you remember about it?
Well, I went to New York with everybody. And it was like, you coming to Vegas? Yeah. That's it. I'll be there to pick you up.
What do you remember about the trip out there?
I remember we all met in the neighborhood, Red Akins. We all rolled out. Who crashed? Somebody crashed. This was when the Dodge Stealth or something that first came out, and one of the producers crashed on the way to Vegas. I seen him flipped over. Everything other than that, it was good. We got to Vegas. I checked in my room. I didn't probably even want to go to the fight. I was ordering cigarettes and shit. I was 16, 17, you know what I mean? So, fuck that fight. I'm ordering shit. He looked at his bill, said, I told you about them fucking cigarettes. So, but it was a good time. It just ended in a fucking tragedy, but it was set up to be a great weekend. We had just came back from New York.
And then, so what are you doing while the fight's happening?
I was in the hotel room.
At the Luxor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think me and Heron room was right next to each other or something like that. And that was it. I was just kind of lounging, walking around, looking for girls. That's what I was doing. Oh, fuck that fight. I'm popping in here, you know? And then, like, even in Vegas, people say they can't say whatever. I think that's what they was there for, period. It just didn't pan out. It was going to be some kind of sneak attack regardless. That's how I feel about it.
People have kind of been critical of Trayvon over all that incident that, you know, because Frank Alexander, Tupac's bodyguard, was, I think, the one that kind of put it out there that Trey whispered in Tupac's ear and then Tupac took off. It kind of made Trey look bad.
Right.
That
That's the homie. I love Trey to death. Pac love Trey, and Trey love Pac. Period. I don't even see Trey. He wouldn't need Pac to fight for him.
Right.
You know, he wasn't. He not the type of dude to say, hey, that's so. That ain't really Trey character. He get at you himself. You know what I mean?
What do you think about Tupac's decision to go and do that?
I mean, everybody being young and kind of wild. It wasn't. In hindsight, it wasn't. But literally, it wasn't a good idea. Pac was on bail. Suge was on probation. It wasn't a good idea.
Was there any discussion about, like, okay, this fight happened with Orlando Anderson, we need to be on point, or like?
Nah, it wasn't really, a fight is a fight. They weren't really worried, you know what I mean?
I asked Neckbone the same question, and I want to ask you, if the situation had been reversed, if you got jumped, what would your reaction?
It would have went down in the MGM.
Right.
And with us together, it's no way in the world they was gonna stand there or we was gonna stand there and watch some niggas jump any of us. It would have been some shit right then and there. Now, when we'd put out and start shooting, probably wouldn't have been a watch. Nah, probably not. But as far as it would have been on, and then it would have bled back home too.
Right.
Because now it's on site.
After that happens, what are you thinking now? Everybody's back at the hotel, getting ready to go out again. Like, what's the activity going on?
Yeah, we are getting ready to go to the club. Everybody met in the parking lot in front of the Luxor. So, and then we all got in the cars, left. The police stopped us. I got out their car and jumped in the car with Hen Dog. Police stopped us on bikes about everybody's music. And then maybe light or two, the shooting happened.
Do you remember the girls like shouting at Tupac? Were you close enough to see that? Was they driving down the strip and they kind of ended up?
I mean, I remember hearing, I didn't see them, but I was like maybe 6, 7 cars back.
And do you remember Tupac like hanging out the window or anything like that? Was he?
No, I didn't see him hanging out the window.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I heard the shots, and I just remember Hen Dog grabbed me. Like, is that us? Is that us? You know what I mean? We didn't know. Then we seen them. I didn't see no shooting. I didn't see.
Did you see the Cadillac go by? You don't remember seeing anything?
I just heard shots. And Hen saying, is that us? Is that us? Is that? Because I grabbed the door. Like, we didn't know, you know what I mean? But I needed to see. Like, is that us? And then we heard rubber and Suge. Did he pass by us?
So Suge goes by, what do?
The fuck? Like that. It didn't look good. You know what I mean? He was tunnel vision. It just didn't look. I knew something. They got hit. They got hit.
And what'd you guys do next?
Jumped over the divider, chased them. That's how we wound up getting, because Bunchy car was stuck. So, and we kind of caught up with them, jumped out the car. By the time when we got them and jumped out the car, the police had them at gunpoint.
And did you guys get held at the scene too, or?
No, they didn't know. We was just talking shit. Like, hold up, they shot, you know. But they was ignored. They ignored us. But it also was a bunch of people out there too. So they were just trying to make everybody stay back. But they had them at gunpoint.
Right. And the cops don't know. They just know there's been a shooting.
Right.
They don't know who's who.
But I mean, you can see the blood.
Right.
But yeah, it was.
And what else did you see then from that point on?
They took him to the hospital.
Do you see them pull Tupac out?
Yeah, they was on the ground. Yeah.
What did you think when you saw?
I didn't know if he was. I knew he was shot up, but I didn't know it was that bad. You know what I mean? He was still conscious.
What did you think when you heard the audio of Keffe D's proffered confession, where he laid out that they did this, that they were involved in this?
Here they come in that BMW, like gang of cars, and Brawl's like, Tupac, Tupac. And we like, there they go. Made a U-turn. We wasn't supposed to make a U-turn. Just wanted a U-turn. And they was in the middle lane. And we just pulled up on the side and checked every car to see where they was. I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, give it, he popped it.
I ain't surprised. That's it, rat bastard.
What did you think about Keffe claimed that he had the gun and he tried to pass it back to DeAndre Smith, and DeAndre Smith's like, no, and Orlando Anderson grabs it?
I believe him. Like I said, Keffe D wasn't gonna do no shooting.
Would there be consequences for like DeAndre Smith saying, I'm not gonna do it?
Where we come from, yeah.
Why is that
Because you shouldn't be in the car. What you here for then, bro?
Right.
You gonna be looked at like if something happened, you gonna be the one to fucking tell. He might not have made it out that car from where we grew up at.
Did Suge ever tell you what was going on inside the BMW when that all happened?
Yeah, he said he got hit in his head because he dove on Pac, tried to save Pac. He said Pac was trying to jump in the back seat. That's why most of my cars got manual seats.
Yeah, it always just made the other big conspiracy theory, which is that Suge was behind it. So
Yeah, I don't know nobody that fucking tough. Who gonna be tough enough to have the car shot up that they driving? Bullets don't got no names. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. I heard that a bunch of times. Like what? Just dumbass. Like they say he stuck Eazy-E with a needle and gave him AIDS. Huh? You think Eazy-E would let that nigga get close enough to him to stick him with something? And if he was gonna stick him with something, it wouldn't be AIDS. Where he get a needle with AIDS from? But people say whatever they want to get these clicks and get this attention, and it worked for them. Because we talking about it right now, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that whole BMW was shot up.
Yeah,
There was bullet holes in the back door,
yeah,
Tupac's door. There's a bullet hole in the windshield. It's like a 6 foot wide grouping.
yeah,
Like who's gonna, and Suge's twice Tupac's size.
right.
And
Right.
he's the backstop for all those bullets.
I think they really wanted him to die. He was the threat more than Pac. Pac was the voice, but he was the threat.
Yeah, you think if they had pulled up on the other side of the car, it would have,
I don't know, that's a big motherfucker, man.
yeah.
I don't know, but I do think that they would have probably preferred for Suge to die over Pac. And Suge told me that he thought the reason why he checked himself out the hospital is because they kept trying to put him to sleep. He still probably to this day tell you if he would have let them put him to sleep, he probably wouldn't be here either.
He thought the people at the hospital were gonna try to kill him?
He said, if I'd have let them motherfuckers put me to sleep, I'd be dead too. It just tripped him out, like he don't know why they kept trying to put him to sleep. Like what? He got grazed in the head, but he like, what the fuck they keep trying to, you know what I mean? But he told me that out of his own mouth, like, yeah, I probably wouldn't be here. So I checked out the hospital, because I'm not the dude, I'm not gonna bite my tongue or none of that shit. So I'm like, why you check yourself out the hospital, bro? That's what he said.
Wow. What do you remember from that whole scene at the hospital? What memories jump out at you?
People calling, making threats. They coming to finish shit. Fan shit now, you know it's fan shit. But at that time, we was ready. Come on.
Who was calling? Like, how was calls being?
Random people was calling the hospital.
Like
saying,
the main line?
Yeah, saying they coming up there. We gonna finish this shit off. We gonna finish the job. But it was news cameras, and I remember when Snoop came, Adina Howard came, Yo-Yo came. And by the time they came, he was in a coma. There wasn't no way. Like I heard her say that he was trying to tell her something. It's not possible. They put him in a coma. He didn't slip into a coma. We went straight to the hospital. We left the hospital, went to the club, and then we went back to the hospital.
Well, when you go to the hospital? Well, we stay there for a minute.
You stay at the hospital?
We stay there for a minute to find out how he's doing. Is he gonna be all right? You know what I'm saying? We worried about Pac. We looking at all the people asking us questions. You know, we grieving, we sad. You know what I'm saying? We going through it. You know what I mean? But we couldn't talk to him. We couldn't see him. We couldn't do nothing.
Suge assured everybody he gonna be all right. Everybody was like, wow. Suge told everybody he got hit. The bullet hit his medallion. Supposed to hit his chain. Everybody start partying. Okay, like he gonna be cool. Heron came up to me and said, he ain't all right. Heron left and supposed to went to the hospital. And from that point, Heron never came back to the club. Everybody was at the hospital. Talking about Tupac was dying. He was gonna die. He wasn't doing too good.
And I stayed at the hospital, shit, until I needed to go change and sleep and went back to the hospital.
What do you remember about the day Tupac passed away? Where were you? And
I had been at the hospital all night. The day he actually passed away, I had just left and went back to the hotel at the Luxor with me and Danny Boy. Both had rooms in the Luxor. And shit, we were just going to get some rest. I went to my room. My little cousin called from here. Like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she was like, where you at? I'm at the hotel. She was like, oh, you don't know? She was like, well, I don't know if it's true, because I didn't know. She was like, I don't know, but they on TV saying the Pac just died. I went and ran to Danny Boy room. Mind you, I was 17. I didn't have no license or nothing. So I went and knocked on DB room, and we went to the hospital. And it was over.
what was the scene there?
Man, it was people everywhere crying, the nurses and the hospital, the employees. Everybody was up there sad, crying. The news people was crying. It was a fucked up day.
Is there any, the story about smoking the ashes? Do you know anything about that?
Absolutely.
Tell me.
Man, I ain't do it. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Nah, but when we was in Atlanta, we went out there to go do Pac Memorial, like to perform for a Pac Memorial. We was at Pac Mama house in Stone Mountain. They rolled a blunt. He did say it, so they put some ashes on the blunt and smoked it. Facts, I was standing right there.
Well, so you know that happened, yeah.
Yeah. We all was smoking, but they did put some ashes on that blunt.
Well, what did you think about that?
I ain't gonna be able to do it. That's what I thought. Nah. Hell no, I don't give a fuck what he said. I ain't gonna be able to do it. But they did. I stood right there with them. I was smoking, they was smoking. They did. They was heartbroken at the time too, you know what I'm saying? Even the ones who didn't smoke weed smoked that one.
Right. Why do you think they did it?
Because he said on Black Jesus, we died clutching glasses filled with liquor and blasted. Cremated last wishes, nigga smoke my ashes. So they did.
Did Suge ever say anything about that he saw who did it?
Not to me, no. Well, I asked him. To me, he was like, don't say nothing. Don't. You know what I mean? Cause I was, like I said, 16, 17. I'm pissed. I'm ready to go. Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. Too many cameras and shit out here. Don't say nothing.
So again, you got this idea that he knew who did it, but he wasn't.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
And never will he. He, like I said, he's not no punk either. He don't be needing no help. If he got something he want to do, he gonna do it. By the time I made it back here from Vegas, it was already, the city was on fire. It started before we even got back from Vegas, you know what I mean?
Right. For people not initiated into, the gang mentality, why is it important to answer back?
Well, because at the end of the day, if you got to stand for something. And you can't, even in your home, you're not gonna let nobody come attack you and don't do nothing back. And more. You know, you always hit harder back.
The first one to get shot was Brim, Darnell Brim.
He didn't have nothing to do with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he wasn't even in Vegas.
They don't even get along with, like, they don't fuck with each other like that.
Yeah, what's the relationship that you know of between Brim and Keffe?
I just know they cliques, they always making money a lot. And they cliques, you know, they two streets didn't really mesh well.
Right. Yeah, somebody, I talked to one Southsider one time and he was just like, that was, one street start making money, the other street's not making that much money, and it just, jealousies.
Yeah. Compton, yeah, that's Compton. And then, you know, they're gonna steal from you if they can, and
right.
just messy, trifling shit.
People always ask, like, why didn't, the gang war happens, people are getting shot on both sides. Why didn't Pirus get it, Orlando and Keffe and them? Like, why did those guys?
Well, because what they would do is, when shit happens, and that's historically known, is with him in particular, they leave. They start shit and then be nowhere to be found. And that's how they homies and shit get drawn into it. So that's why they was, like, even when he died, I mean, at the end of the day, he was making a lot of bad blood. Not just with, like, the Pirus, amongst the other Crips and his friends. And
Orlando Anderson.
Yeah. Like I said, he wasn't no punk, but it was more almost bully shit. But you know they not gonna sit down either, though. So he had a lot of respect, and he kind of took advantage of it. And I think that's what ultimately cost him his life.
Did you hear about him and some of the other guys going around and bragging about it? Was that getting back to you guys?
Yeah.
What'd you hear?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's always similar bitches around. So the girls that they deal with, some of the homies deal with, and they be like, yeah, they be over there laughing about that shit.
So you heard from people that...
Yeah, like, well, we like, okay. Plenty of times that we heard that, yeah.
Yeah. And so you heard that Orlando Anderson, did you hear anybody else was trying to take credit for it?
No.
Yeah, just him.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear this? There was a story that the next day they were rolling around their neighborhood in the white Cadillac playing Tupac's music?
Yeah.
You heard about that?
Yep. Yep. And they was in another neighborhood on the west side.
What did you think about that?
I mean, come with the territory. I ain't surprised. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, do you think other side would have done the same thing in a similar situation? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably would have been driving over there playing it.
Just to rub it in?
Yeah.
Well.
Tim and I start preparing for this multi-gang search warrant, and then Tim wrote a big affidavit, which is famous now, everyone's read it, but it was like a 40 location search warrant that had to do with as a result of the murder of Tupac and the war that came back to Compton, right? So in order to get one of these together, it takes a mass amount of people. I mean, we had the sheriffs, LAPD, DOJ, FBI. We had to get like 200 people to hit these houses simultaneously at 6 in the morning, right?
Like they hit the house and all that. They took my chain off. I had like 10,000 in my pocket. They took my chain off me. They searched the house looking for guns. They wind up taking all my photo albums, the feds. And it was a gang of other different polices. They couldn't find none. They tried to put some hot ones on me. That didn't ride out. So they stole my photo albums. And they claimed that they was gonna take my chain and keep it. So that's how he had my chain. And my chain was just laying on the table. And you know, they was coming in with the cameras. They was taking pictures with my chain and all that. And I got the chain back, but I didn't get my photo albums back.
Did the raids affect you?
Yeah.
What happened?
Kept raiding my house. Kept raiding my grandma's house. Stole my jewelry out the house. A whole bunch of shit. I had like my death row chain, ring. The police raided that house, and I never seen it again. They never put it on paper. I wasn't even there. Then they said they didn't have a warrant for me. They just had a warrant to search for like weapons or whatever. They had no weapons, but I didn't have no jewelry when I got home after they fucked that house up. They was raiding. They had gang injunctions, and you couldn't even be 2 people on the corner. They'd take you to jail.
Wow. Did it? What was the effect of the raid? Did it kind of tamp things down though, or? I mean, how did the war end? It just tapered off? And,
Yeah, it just phased out.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm sure other things happened over there outside of, whatever was going on between us and them, and shit happened over there, and, people start getting older, some people die, people get wiser, shit ain't worth it. When is this shit gonna stop, so.
You had a medallion, a death row medallion.
Right.
How was it decided who got those, and how was it handed out?
Should've decided that. We flew up to Vegas one day, put out his briefcase, and was like, boom, here, I got you 4 of us. It was only 4 of us teenagers. He gave all of us chains, all of us rings. Then the police took it when they raided my grandma's house. I got a new one now, though, so we good.
You got another one?
Yeah, I got another one.
Yeah, Neckbone said his got taken, and his
You got
is the one.
Neckbones too?
So yeah, but he said he got his back. But he says that's the one you see the cop, the famous picture of the Compton cop holding up a chain. He's Neckbones. That says that was my chain.
See, ours didn't have diamonds. Ours was solid gold.
Okay.
Theirs had diamonds.
Yeah.
That was the difference between the big homies and the little homies chains.
Okay.
But yeah, I never seen them once they raided. Never saw it again. They never documented. They never said. I wasn't even there, so I didn't even go to jail or nothing. They took my shit though. And they just never.
Some cops got it on in his living room.
They raided my grandma's house. Everything was all over my room. Dressers all flipped over. No jewelry.
Man.
Right.
Do you remember the day that Orlando Anderson died?
Yeah.
What do you remember from that day? How'd you hear?
I was at the studio, and I forgot who called me. Like, man, boy, Baby Lane out there laid out. I'm like, yeah? Like, man, at the shop. I said, oh, shit. But like I said, he was known, he had a reputation for not doing even right by his own homies and shit like that, so I wasn't really surprised. Especially after he got that fame for killing Pac. It kind of went to his head too, so he was outside.
Right.
Because he became the face of, like, the South Side,
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, he was happy he pulled that off.
Did you know anything about the Stones, the other 2 guys he got into it with that died?
Yeah.
What did you know about them?
They family and they hustling. They was a hustling family. Everybody got soldiers, around Compton. But they was known because they was successful in the streets.
Right. Yeah, and I think Big Stone, someone claimed that he had just gotten out of prison.
He did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then this happens. It's kind of like, do you think that also maybe just Orlando's reputation maybe caused things to escalate faster than on their end? Thinking, or did he just get on and start shooting? Like what? I don't know what.
I don't really know how it went down, but they wasn't gonna play with him because he wasn't gonna play with them.
Yeah. And then Michael Duro, his buddy, ends up getting 3 life sentences off of it.
Yeah. It's a lose-lose at the end of the day for everybody.
Yeah.
Michael Duro in later interviews with Tim said, man, he goes, I don't care about getting convicted on the 2 murders of Michael and Jerry Stone, but to convict me on a murder of my best friend, I can't, it's hard for me to deal with, right? He had a problem with that, and he was telling Tim, right? Because he didn't really understand the felony murder rule, right?
Right.
So.
And Duro got 3 life sentences for.
He did.
He's never getting out.
No, he's never getting out.
And that's crazy, but that's the law. That's really fucked up. But
the place that happened, Rob's Car Wash. Tell me, what was that place?
The Death Trap. If you ask me, it always was there or around that area. Always was some shit, like frequently. Because they was hustling out of that shop. So everything come with hustling came to that shop.
Plus, everybody's got to get their car washed. So
Yeah.
I guess different factions are coming together. So
And then the thing is, even though we have our two different sides as far as the colors go, all of them didn't really get along. So that was mainly the Crip side. So they run into each other, at the car wash. And sometimes they just be at odds. There always was shit happening at that car wash.
yeah. Yeah, Michael DeRose supposedly told Keffe afterwards everybody was shooting at them at the car wash.
I heard that, but it probably sounded like it, probably felt like it, you know what I mean? Because if everybody was shooting at him, he'd probably be dead too.
Right. Yeah, and he wasn't even hit.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever hear anything about this guy, Zip Martin? That was kind of the go-between?
Only that's what I heard about. I got a lot of friends and shit on the East Coast too, that he was the link between Puffy and the South Sides. I heard that he gave Zip X amount of dollars and said he wasn't paying the rest of them because Suge didn't die.
So you heard independently that Puffy gave Zip some of the money.
I already gave him a quarter. And Zip didn't give none to Keffe D now. Went back to New York with it.
Where'd you run into D-Mac at?
I met him off the train at the 76 station.
And D-Mac's tells you?
I like, man, call your boy, I like, man, call your boy. He like, man, what's that still mad? Where's Zip behind that shit? Zip got that money. I'm like, what? He like, yeah, man, dude gave Zip the money.
Okay, you run into D-Mac in the Valley a couple months, 3 months ago?
Yeah, in like fall, summertime.
Talk about this year?
Yeah. Yeah, Zip got paid. They fell out behind that old shit. Plus Big got killed. Shit, I better not see his ass.
Okay, they fell out. Behind what?
Behind the money. They behind Big. Big got killed 6 months later. I thought y'all had a store.
Zip keeping the money.
Zip kept the money from the store.
And he didn't give it to them, and then Big got killed.
Yeah, all that. I thought y'all had him. Y'all both had our back.
Wow. So Zip hustled everybody.
Yeah, had a roommate that I don't know about and all of that. One of the comedians was his roommate at the time.
Wait, say again?
It was a comedian that was his roommate at the time in New York.
And that's who you heard it from?
That would know somebody else, but we knew all of that. We knew he got paid. We knew he didn't pay them.
Wow. What do you think about that?
Scandalous. Scandalous as hell.
Yeah. What did you think about Keffe's claim that he kept trying to get paid by Puffy?
I believe him.
Yeah.
But I also think that Puffy never had no intentions on paying him.
And do you believe that? Do you believe Keffe when he says that there was an offer?
Yeah.
Why do you believe that? Like, why?
He offered him for $10,000 for a chain. Absolutely. And then, he did a song, excuse me, he did a song talking, saying, yeah, if you fuck with me, I'll put $1 million on your head.
Right.
I mean, it's speculative, but
yeah,
people like us are going to read between the lines.
And that's pretty specific.
Yeah.
You guys are aware in February of '97 that Big and Puff and them have all come out to LA or?
When they came out here, we was recording. I was in the Metropolitan Hotel the night Biggie died, I think. I didn't think it was a good idea, period. That's also rubbing shit in. Whether you had something to do with it or the insinuation is there. So that was a bad fucking move. I wouldn't have came out here.
Were people talking about it? Like,
yeah. I mean, they was giving females at hotels. Something was gonna wind up happening that night to them, period. Because they was giving like dusty females they room numbers, and it wasn't gonna work out. But I wouldn't have came. And if they did, I would have came and left. They was planning on hanging out.
yeah, they just it was like they moved here practically.
Yeah. I was like, when the shit happened and we heard about it, I kind of wasn't surprised, but then I was like, there at the Peterson, I'm like, oh shit. So, and then I kind of felt like, man, Puffy didn't pay them, you know what I mean?
One of the leading theories at the time was what you just alluded to, which was that, Crips didn't get paid, so Crips took their payment.
Right.
So he's out here. Did you hear when he went on the radio station and rapped "Long Kiss Goodnight"?
No, I was at the studio.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that happening.
I heard about it, but I didn't hear it.
But people were pissed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot. Like I said, Pac had some fans, or still has fans, that they was die hard. So, like, I didn't know, like, maybe it was them niggas, or was it a Pac fan? I just know they shouldn't have been out here.
Yeah.
Period.
So there was never any chatter, at least around you, about who did it?
No.
Yeah.
Then they made the little sketch, and don't let us look like that, though.
Right. What did you think about the fact that they said the guy was dressed like Nation of Islam?
Yeah, they said that. Then they were trying to say, it's a guy that just died. They're trying to say it was him. And I don't know who did that shit.
Yeah.
But they did it.
Well, there was what was referred to as the Goon Squad by some people, which was like Poochie and George Williams. And those guys were kind of like the most feared dudes. And that kind of was where a lot of the, if it was Death Row side.
They were saying, like Wack 100, he said it was Poochie. And Suge said it was Poochie did it. I ain't never heard Suge say Poochie did it.
Yeah. What was Poochie's reputation?
Man, he was Poochie. He had a reputation. Sneaky. You know what I mean? That's why they would say it was Poochie, because if anybody could put it off, it would be Poochie. Like, I don't know, they put too much on people, bro.
Yeah.
We all human, and we all can move however we gonna move. Like, certain people take risks that we won't take. Some people like doing what they do. They say he was one that liked. His reputation definitely preceded him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to meet him, there wasn't nothing scary about him.
He was a little guy.
Yeah.
But like you said, sneaky.
Yeah.
And George kind of, I think, had that same.
Yeah, no, George, though, he a real one, too.
Yeah. What do you remember from the night Biggie died? You said you were with the Outlawz.
We was at the hotel. We was at the Metropolitan Hotel, I think. And they got a call from some girls that was up there. It was like, man, cause we was gonna go, but we like, nah, cause we gonna fuck around and get in trouble. So that's why we didn't go.
So you didn't go to the party at the Peterson because you're like, no.
Nah, we was going to fight. You know what I mean? So we like, nah, we ain't finna do that. Suge in jail. We already in trouble. We kept getting kicked out of hotels and shit like that. So we like, yeah, nah, we ain't going. We stayed in, and not even an hour later, we got a call that said, man, somebody just shot Biggie in them car up. Like, what? If some girls that was there. That shit was, like I said, I kind of knew something was gonna happen. I didn't think nothing was gonna happen to him then, though. But I thought it was a terrible fucking idea to be out here.
Yeah.
You knew whatever was going on, even with like Keffe D. I mean, you knew, obviously they wasn't gonna be there to help you. I just wouldn't have came out here. That was on Puffy. As far as him being the CEO, that was probably the worst business decision he made. But also turned him into a rap star too.
Right.
So just never know with people like that, man.
Yeah, Keffe D claimed that he was there that night. He claimed that he saw some girls associated with Death Row at the party, and he just felt like things were off. And it is established, he went over to Biggie's table and talked to Biggie that night, and he offered Puffy, do you want us to walk with you? Do you need some extra people? And Puffy said, no, the feds are all over me, like stay away. And Keffe's like, all right. And then sure enough, Keffe's kind of like, my instincts were right, because like, somebody did kill him that night.
Yeah, that shit was, man. I asked Stevie about that. We talked about it. When we first hooked up, he's like, man, I don't know where the fuck that shit came from. He was like, I called 911. Like, we didn't even know where he was at. I'm like, damn, why y'all come out? I told him, why the fuck would y'all come? When we first got cool, because we ran into, before we actually linked up and started working together, me and Napoleon ran into him, and I don't even know who else was with him at the Atlanta airport. And whoever guy was with him, we kind of pressed him. The dude, he, you know what I mean? Like, got up out of there. Stevie didn't run though, but he was just like, man, you know. And Moose said what he said, and he kind of kept it moving and shit. So once we became friends, we was talking about it. He was like, yeah, go fuck with that guy no more. But I asked him, like, why y'all come out here? He said Puffy wanted to come. He said Biggie didn't even really want to come.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. He know, only Puffy know, you know what I mean? But I know it as far as him, his career as an artist, that's what launched it.
Right. Yeah, Biggie, they said, barely left his room. His leg was all messed up from a car wreck. And Puffy was the one out partying every night, you know, going places. Even when Big did the night before he got killed, he was at the Soul Train Awards. Right. He was in an award. As soon as he walked off stage, out of there, back to the hotel room. Puffy wanted to stayed and then went out and partied and House of Blues, I think, and all this stuff. And Big's like, no.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they wouldn't have thought or didn't think nothing was gonna happen, but I damn sure I wouldn't advise him to come out here. Like, hell no.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where it's gonna come from then. Like I said, Pac got fans that's die hard, like they DNA to him.
Yeah, Neckbone told me, he said it could have been anybody.
Absolutely. Like, I'm surprised ain't nothing happened to Keffe D worse in jail. Because Pac got, like, serious die-hard fans. And they all, most likely, is the ones who grew up real rough. Because they all can relate.
Right.
They might do something to him, man. I would have been thinking that off the jump. Like, this nigga had a whole movement behind him. Why would you go put yourself? Because you thumbing. You poking the bear.
Right.
It cost him his life. I know he probably didn't want to be out here, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because at one point, they was friends, too, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm sure he might have been bittersweet to him when Pac died, because he looked up to Pac at one point, too, and they was close at one point.
Right.
So, I don't think he wanted to see Pac dead.
Yeah, I feel like that if they just had more time, that could have been squashed.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like it was like misunderstandings.
I think once Biggie would have eventually got away from Puffy, then they would have ended it. You know what I mean? Because I think he was more of the fuckboy than Biggie. He was the one in the mess. You know, want to play gangster and shit, you know? Biggie grew up in the streets for real, you know, so he know what come with that.
Right.
Puffy didn't. He grew up in the house. And that's what you get.
Right. What is your point of view about what happened to Death Row after Suge goes back to prison? Like, what happens?
Everything imploded, man. Everybody was either trying to play Suge or be Suge and not be about the music. That's what they mistakenly about him. He was about that music first. All the other, whatever came with it, came with it. Well, let's get this done. And they were just up there. I mean, I saw his brother-in-law in there with his feet up on his desk and a cigar in his mouth one day. Like, he was, I said, what the fuck is you doing? You know, oh, what's up, Wack? Like, okay, sure. You know what I mean? So, I think they were just misappropriating his money. And he had no control over it because he didn't know what was going on. By the time he was able to get back to it, it was a shit show.
Yeah.
And then you had this reputation now of getting in trouble. So now all the wrong eyes are on you. So you really can't even move. You really can't even work.
Right. What? Who should have been in charge, do you think, after?
I don't know. Who should have been in charge? Buntry. Because he was the one, even me, he kept trying to get music from me. But I had another music situation going on. But from a business standpoint, I mean, he had like Roy that was real good and savvy. I think the distributors kind of just, the blood got bad with him and Interscope, and you know what I mean? He felt like they were trying to take his company, and it kind of seemed like they was. Now we see, you know? So I just think that once you put a sour taste in the wrong people's mouth in entertainment, that's it.
Right.
At that point, you just kind of wasting your time because it's over.
What do you think now, the fact that Snoop owns Death Row, basically?
Man, I don't know. I'm happy for Snoop, you know what I mean? And I just hope he do the right shit with it. I see he making moves, though. Snoop is an extremely popular person. You You know what I mean? He's very likable. He gonna do good. They doing their shit. And the homie over there with him, K-Dub, shout out to Dub. They doing their shit. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever he did, whoever he wronged, he also obviously played the game right, because look how it turned out for him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is good karma. It's not like he was known as no savage on the streets. He might have sold some dope or whatever, but
yeah,
he never hurt nobody.
Do you remember when Death Row's offices got shot at?
Yeah.
They shot out the windows?
Yeah.
What do you know about, like, what was going on?
I don't even know. Even the camera didn't pick it up. So we didn't know if it was some fan shit or, like, I really still don't know. Wasn't nobody there. But I remember that shit like yesterday.
Yeah, Suge made fun of it in, like, the press. Like, oh no, they shot my windows.
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo or some shit he said.
Right.
And that was some thick ass glass, so, but they shot it though. So you don't know. I still don't know who. Because in those, like on Wilshire, I don't think no real gangster's gonna do that.
V. Buchanan's murdered. Neckbone spoke on this a little bit. The big claim is that V. Vince was murdered. He's found in the road, dead in front of the cemetery, and that there was video taken of it, and that like Buntry's house, it was being shown to people, and that pissed off certain friends of Vince. Did you ever hear anything about?
I heard it was a tape floating around.
Yeah.
I ain't never seen Buntry play no tape though. But I did hear it was a tape floating around of something happening with him getting beat up or tortured or some shit, which was, I mean, who the fuck would be, you know what I mean? But I heard that, but I've never seen no tape.
Yeah, Neckbone said Buntry would have been dead set against that.
He would have.
If it was a tape, they probably did play it at Buntry house.
Right.
But Buntry, I guarantee you didn't agree to that shit. Wasn't fond of that shit. I guarantee you that Buntry out. He don't get down like that with no homies, homie.
See, real niggas don't play like that. Unless they don't play like that. Because number one, you putting that bad karma on yourself. You ain't do it. So I don't want to see nothing. And I'm sure most people don't want to see a motherfucker getting tortured on the tape.
Right.
Especially that's not your enemy.
Yeah.
That you don't get no leverage, you ain't, for that, it's just put a target on you.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think Buntry would have been showing no tape. We was over there all the time. I never saw tape. Never heard of him having no tape.
Yeah, Buntry's house, like there was like the kind of like a clubhouse in back, basically, right? That was like the spot.
Right. Right. Before it was like when my daddy and them was coming up, it was my grandmama's house. But then when we was coming up, it was Buntry mama's house.
Mm. Do you remember when Poochie was killed?
Yeah.
What happened with him that you heard about?
I don't know. I was out of town when Poochie got killed, but I just got a call. I called home or something. They said somebody killed Poochie.
Yeah, I said he was like riding his motorcycle through Compton, and someone shot him in the back with like a Mac 11 or something because he was hit like 10 times, so it had to be something automatic, right?
And but like I said, he had a cold reputation, man. So certain people, when shit happened, you hate that it happened, but you're not really shocked.
Right.
Just whether they did something or not, just because of the reputation.
Yeah.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, you know?
What do you remember about the day Buntry was killed?
I was at the studio, and I think he was with me. I got a call from my little homie, just hysterical. He's like, man, they just killed Buntry. Somebody just killed Buntry. And he was at the gas station. He rode up to the gas station with K-Dub. He related to K-Dub. And they went up to the gas station. He called me back. He said, yeah, he gone, bro. That was it. And it was another bad time, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like it was very unexpected, you know what I mean? For all of us. So it was that was a shitty time too. It was bad, man, because everybody was not really scrambling, but now there's a lot of people that love Buntry. So now it's just like a tourist attraction again. Because now you got all these people coming around trying to show condolences to see what happened. So it was an event, but it was a sad one.
Yeah. It does seem like he was like one of the most loved guys.
Yeah. Yeah, because Bunchy was funny, fun, you know what I mean? So, and he'd been around, so everybody knew him.
What did you think about Tupac shouting them out?
Yeah, I
to
like
live and die in LA.
To live and die in LA. Him, Neckbone, Heron, and Trey, Rock.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like them the big homies, you know? Like family, them the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it? I think it was Neckbone didn't like, he's like, it drew attention to us.
Yeah.
But I think it's still cool.
Yeah, it was real cool.
Who else gets shouted out on a Tupac record? Man?
Right. And just look what
And
ultimately happened.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So your name is stamped in history.
Yeah. What was the situation with Suge giving people cars?
I mean, they was like company cars. They all had cars though. He gave everybody a car. He had 60 cars in his name.
Crazy.
So he gave everybody a car, but then when it's time to cut ties, he probably wanted it back.
Right.
Rightfully so. I mean, Toyota gonna want theirs back or pay for it. But you dealing with niggas from the street, so I'm not giving you shit back. Come take it.
Right. Did you hear about them? There's I think it's even in the Wikipedia page for Heron, for his murder. There was a claim that at one point someone tried to kidnap George Williams, and he ended up getting shot, like in the rear end, like shot in the butt.
Yeah.
Did you hear
about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
And it was all just trying to get his car back, basically.
I don't know what that was about. I don't know if that was about the car, but I did hear somebody like jumped out or some shit like that and shot him.
Yeah.
But like they say, like I said earlier, George ain't no joke. He's a real nigga. He's a real man, bro. You know what I mean? And he gonna demand his respect too.
Seems like he's the one that people are the most afraid to talk about.
Yeah, cause I don't think they scared to talk about, but he likes to remain a mystery. Like, but George he's a solid dude, straight up.
Yeah. And he's out now. He was in
Yeah,
prison.
he
He did a long sentence, but he's back.
But he out. And, you know, he was living his life. He was getting a lot of money, bro. He didn't need like whatever. However that shit panned out, he didn't need to check. He was a cold hustler too. So
right.
That shit just went awry with them dudes, man. All of it. But my generation, we learned from that. We don't argue. We don't fight. None of that with each other, because we see what it can lead to.
Right.
So when I was hanging out, one thing we wasn't gonna do is fight each other. I don't know what they do now, but when I was coming up, that was the Cardinal said, we all we got.
Right. What do you think about Suge's biography that's coming out?
I gotta see it. I don't think he get enough credit, number one. I don't think, even on the business or positive side of him, he don't get enough credit. He responsible for trend. These people to this day got what on their chains? They record labels, right? Wasn't nobody doing that before Death Row. You know what I mean? In black gang world, they didn't even do pinky rings until Death Row, or until Suge. They don't give him enough credit, man.
What else do you think he deserves credit for that he doesn't?
His body of work.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can have a room full of Bloods and Pirus and Crips and essays, and ain't nobody tripping. I just think people expected for us to come out with more than we did. And people should, rightfully so. It just didn't, it wasn't in the cards. Also, it was a bunch of bad decisions. Like me being grown, if I was grown then, a lot of shit wouldn't have happened. I would have been, I spoke out against it, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? He could tell you that now, I'll tell him, hold up, bro. Like when he used to come in the neighborhood, you know, I used to live in his house in Compton. I get a call 10 o'clock in the night, I'm at Louis. I got in the call, what you doing up here? Don't nobody know you got, I wanted some Louis. Nigga, it is 10 o'clock at night and you by yourself. You know what I mean? That was just him. So he got a good heart, and I mean, shit just got fucked up and went left. Like I said, a lot of people got high on power. But at the end of the day, his legacy should be cemented. Here's the thing, he should be on the fucking Walk of Fame.
Right.
That's my opinion. Love him to death. Good or bad, love the fuck out of him, period. He showed me, saved my fucking life, period. You know what I mean?
How so?
Got me out the street. Showed me something else. Don't want to be a number. This is what you need to do. You didn't have to do that for us. And we was so young, you know what I mean? So, for me, me and music became valuable to him or whatever, but before then, it wasn't about none of that. You know what I mean? We couldn't be a security. We were too young, too small. I wasn't even this fucking tall. So, I just, like I said, I appreciate, and I never forget. And I think a lot of people kind of forget.
Yeah.
But always, the bad always outweigh the good, no matter, even though the good is probably on a bigger magnitude. But what gets the attention is the negative.
Right. What do you think some of the mistakes he made were?
Alliances.
Like what?
Like, him and Puffy was cool at one time, right? I think that he got probably jealous of Suge in a way, wanted to be Suge in a way. I think Suge had the world in his hands. You know what I mean? But cases, streets, shit like that, just took him down. He's like,
Yeah.
too real.
What's like the realest thing you ever saw Suge do? Like for somebody, do you think anything?
The realest?
Yeah, like just.
Man, he paid people houses off, helped Buntry get his mama a whole new house, paid that house off. He was helping people with schools, Mother Day dinners, turkey giveaways. A lot. He did a lot.
Yeah.
But they forgot about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he had, like I said, he had a real good heart, man. He give you the shirt off his back type of shit,
Right.
But again, to me, they all fell victim to chasing power.
What was your opinion of Heron?
Man, I love Uncle Cody. That was the homie, man. He was a big ass kid, bro. Goofy, funny, deep, different ass voice. Sound like he should have been a character, like a cartoon character. Hey, nigga, what's up? You know what I mean? I just seen his brother before I came up here.
Oh, Jesse?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, Heron was a cool. I used to be with Heron a lot. That was my nigga, man. But all of them, like I said, because I was the one they all known since birth, pretty much. You know what I mean? Out of everybody. So everybody. I'm cool with all of them. Georgie, all of them. It's fucked up. The separation came with them.
Yeah.
They was a cold crew.
Well, that brings us to that. So, what happened with George Williams? He got fired.
Yeah.
What do you know? Like, what caught? Because that started this domino effect. It
Right.
seems like. What do you know about what happened?
Well,
with
to
it?
my knowledge, it was some alleged, dope selling or something going on. Suge didn't want to. He couldn't be tied to no shit like that. He knew that definitely wasn't gonna work. So he started letting people go. If he was hearing that they was hustling, selling dope, and he wanted his car back or whatever. And I think it stemmed from that. He wasn't giving up the car. Heron wanted, Suge was saying get his car or whatever. So, but they all used to be friends, bro. And it's not like that was just probably the straw that broke the camel back or whatever. But over the years, they all done kind of, like friends do. They glad bump heads sometime. But at that point, too much ego and motherfuckers was serious.
What was George's reputation?
Straight gangster. Straight gangster. Do I think he, killed Heron or something? I just know Heron did. That's it. They all the homies. I ain't gonna really. Shit happens. Whatever happened, happened. You know what I mean? But I can't say, yeah, he had them to. Because I kind of feel like if he wanted to, he'd kill yourself.
Let's talk about Heron's murder. You witnessed it. Tell me that day, what was going on?
Well, we was just on our way to Gonzalez Park. They was having a function up there.
Who was doing the barbecue?
It was just the West, everybody. There was a bunch of everybody up there. Our homies was up there. Back then, everybody was together. All the Pirus was together. So if the Cedar Blocks is doing something or the Fruit Towns, we gonna go support. We was just on our way up there. I just came back from out of town. We was on our way up there, and I forgot who said it, like, oh, they go Heron at the light. Well, we was going towards the park. And shit, I just heard gunshot. From where we was right in front of like Jack in the Box. So that's their side. I thought we was getting shot at. So we just like, you know what I mean? Did that and nothing hit the car and we rose up and I think like somebody already had jumped out the car. I ran over there or whatever. And he was in the car, locked up.
Yeah. They said he was still breathing, but like was, labored obviously. And
yeah, and he was like locked, like his foot was stuck on the brake. Yeah, that was fucked up too. But I mean, like I said, I've seen a lot, man, over the years, but that one was a bad one.
Did you see the firefighters over there?
Yeah.
There was like a fire truck like right behind it.
Something like, yeah. I didn't know if they pulled up or if they was already behind it.
Yeah, they were parked there because one of the guys had run over the Tacos Mexico.
Yeah, we found out later, right. But I didn't know if they was in traffic but yeah, they ran to the car and, they tried to help him, but I knew he was dead. I knew he wasn't gonna make it.
Yeah.
For sure, I knew he was shot up.
I think they were taking Heron away because they didn't leave him at the scene. The cars were blocking the intersection because you could tell they surrounded him at Rosecrans and Santa Fe. And a lot of shell casings. I tell you, that was at the scene because we had to block it all off and stuff. But it was bold. But they wanted him. It was an execution, really.
There was a bridge. They built this stupid bridge that shut down a lot of businesses in Compton over Rosecrans that went over the railroad tracks at Alameda, I believe. From what I remember, they caught him on the bridge and they started following him on the bridge and then he can't get off of it. So when he got to the traffic light at Santa Fe, they got him where they want him at. And they got out of the car and walked up on him. And I don't think they wanted to miss him. To me, it sounds almost like an intentional hit. Because if you're gonna do a drive-by, you're just gonna light the car up. Why take a chance of getting yourself shot too? So for some reason, they walked up on that car that day. 13 bullet wounds, there's no way they could did that with a drive-by.
They had shot at Heron before that, man. When I first got out, when Pac got out and I got out right after that, somebody tried to gun Heron down then. Central El Segundo or Avalon El Segundo. He had a red Cherokee. Light-skinned nigga on swole with the big long braids. You couldn't tell him nothing. Every time he talk, he turn it. You know how them niggas, when they got the long, that's Heron, dog. That's Go. That's the homie, man. They tried to get him in. He barely escaped.
What was the reaction amongst everybody to that?
Oh, shit. Like, first, of course, who did it? And then first is the allegations start. That was it. We didn't know. I kind of thought it was the Crips, just because of the location we was in. I know he was known. I mean, he had his, issues here and there, not just say him and George, but outside of the neighborhood. So, but I kind of thought it was the Crips initially. I didn't see him. I just thought, but then, man, then they came saying somebody chased the car. I didn't see nobody chasing no car either.
Yeah, that was one of the claims, was that someone else. So you were in a carload of your friends. I think one of them said that they had chased after the car and then lost it, but I never understood how you chase it, but then also when you went over there and saw Heron in the car.
How you chase the car, you ain't got no
and
gun.
Chase him. And also how the getaway car was a minivan. How do you lose a minivan if you did chase it?
Right.
Like it didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, nobody chase we didn't chase no fucking car.
Yeah.
Like I said, once I figured out that we wasn't getting shot at, what made me look up and see what's going on, because like I said, initially, I'm on that side too, so I was in the passenger back seat. So I didn't hit the car, so when I rose up, I think Black had jumped out the car, was running over there already.
Yeah.
They was like, oh man. And two of the guys that was in the car with us is dead now.
The driver of the minivan that was involved with the shooter's ran, he was eventually arrested and I believe convicted for that, but they never found the shooters. And he claimed he didn't really know who they were either. Who knows? But he claims he dropped them off over near Looters Park area, which is odd.
Right. Because at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, then we still was kind of like, oh, well, of course it's Lewis Park and the mob, but everybody was everybody.
Yeah. And personal beefs can still happen
Right.
regardless, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't understand why he kept doing those interviews and shit.
Keffe?
Implementing himself. Another guy he did an interview with told me that he told him he had immunity. It's not a federal case. It didn't, I'm like, what? He said he had immunity from the FBI, and that's why, because the dude said he wasn't going to ask the questions or put it out there because he didn't want to get Keffe D in trouble. And he told him, it's good. I got immunity.
Yeah, he's tried to say that. It's funny because, I mean, everybody knows what a proffer deal is.
Right.
He certainly knew. He had a lawyer with him.
Right.
I know he had a lawyer with him when he did Death Row Chronicles for BET.
Right.
I know he had a lawyer with him, I think, when he did the first Vlad TV interview.
Mm-hmm.
And he held back a lot when when it got time to talk about the actual shooting itself. You could tell he was nervous about talking about it. I'm like, okay, well, if he thinks he has immunity, why is he nervous?
Right. Right. I think that was a bad, dumbass move on his behalf. But again, he's chasing attention.
Yeah. I think he thought Vegas didn't care anymore or wasn't gonna.
Probably. He didn't move there.
Yeah. And he lives in Henderson.
Like, what the hell? Not the brightest star in the solar system, clearly. That was dumb as fuck. It was dumb to be talking about a murder case that you involved in. And you saying your nephew did it. And you gave him the gun. Make it make sense.
Right. And everybody already knows his nephew's been the prime suspect from day one. So it's not like, I always tell people, it's not like this is some nut in a mental hospital 2,000 miles away giving a false confession. This is a guy who's at the center of this already.
Already. And then, I mean, if he would have been known as somebody who had like some heart type of shit, I would have been like, he fucking did the shooting and putting it off on his nephew because his nephew did.
Right.
But no, it's clear he who did the shooting.
Mopreme sued Keffe D for wrongful death. And of course, speculation is they mentioned that there's dozens or 100 potential co-defendants that haven't been named yet. Obviously, the one with the deepest pockets is Puffy.
Right.
What do you think about that whole lawsuit?
I mean, the Brown family won against OJ, and he was found not guilty. Why not?
Yep. Yeah, the burden of proof is lower in civil courts.
Right.
He'll
probably win.
Yeah, and you're not going to get any money out of Keffe.
No.
But
yeah, he'll probably get some money out of Puffy.
Well.
Yeah. I got some people that's where he is right now.
Some people what?
Where he is right now. We're Puffy on the same yard.
What have you heard?
Nothing. He's just kind of cool. He got fans in there, so. Man, that's the feds is different from the state, so it's not. I mean, he ain't at risk.
Right. Pictures that been leaked look like he's having a good time.
Right. Right.
Hair's all gray.
Yeah.
And he's supposedly planning this big comeback tour show. He's going to do a show at where Madison Square Garden they're talking about or something like that when he gets out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think that power is gonna be there. I think that's gonna be probably his downfall because he's gonna come home chasing it. When he should just retire and live his life. He got enough money.
Yeah.
But it's the power. That's the high. That's what they chase.
I thought he was gonna pull on my side. That's my little nephew. I'm gonna look out for him, And he pulled on his side.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just?
Yeah, if we would have been on our side, I would have blasted.
Okay. So you hand the gun to the back seat?
Yeah. I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, give it. He popped it too.
Yeah, I just don't know why he would put himself in a predicament, whether his nephew dead or alive, to say that, yeah, my nephew did it, but I gave him the gun. 100 fucking times. I didn't write a book. and now you the victim. You know, they got rumors that A, B, and C supposedly had told. He told on himself. Nobody had to tell on him. It just didn't work out the way he thought it was because he fucked himself in the process.
What do you think the response from his neighborhood would be upon hearing that he has not only put himself there, but he's named Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and his own nephew as being conspirators in it? What is the...
Well, they all dead.
Yeah.
So, he the only one that's alive, and he put that on his back.
Right.
But as far as his homies, like I said, they already, a lot of them, they had some that, a lot he messed with and a lot that don't fuck with him. They probably like, I knew that nigga was a rat. It ain't no telling, you know what I'm saying? He hustled backwards, period, because from the beginning, he should have never played himself like that.
If you're in Keffe's predicament right now, your trial's in August, so we're just over now 2 months away. It's finally gonna happen, it's been getting delayed. If you're Keffe, what are you hoping for? What would you do if you're in his situation?
I wouldn't be in this situation. But I'm sure he's hoping he just don't have to spend the rest of his life in jail. Which is, I mean, it looked like he almost on his way out anyway. But I'm sure that's what he's hoping, not to die in prison. But then he's in a place where, you know, Pac got all these fans. I'm sure he's not enjoying where he is right now.
Yeah, you think his prison can be tough for him?
Yeah. Especially in Vegas. It's not like here. That's a different culture. They got gangs and shit there too, but they'll really try to get at him behind because they Pac fans.
Right.
And they'll hurt him. Especially if you're in there talking and bragging and shit about it. Somebody might fuck him up.
What did you think when Suge said, like, free Keffe D?
Yeah, don't nobody wish nobody life in prison.
Right. It's not Suge saying he didn't do it.
No.
It's just, yeah.
I don't know where, after he did all these interviews, he would feel safe. Good thing for, like, DoorDash and shit like that, because he, especially out there, it's not gonna be copacetic like that. He's gonna have to move to Utah somewhere.
Yeah, it's wild though. I mean, he did these interviews for years, and he's still, I mean, in Henderson, he gets arrested on his regular morning walk. He's just walking around himself around his neighborhood. He must have felt like...
But yeah, they don't care. I'm good. I'm in the clear. I ain't in Compton. He is an idiot. That's dumb at his finest.
You ended up joining the Outlawz.
Right.
Tell me about, when does that happen and how did that come about?
I mean, it was just because Suge and Pac was always together. I was always with Suge and they was always with him. And we, at the studio, we just kind of all meshed. You know what I mean? And I was rapping and we just kind of all clicked, man. And that was it. And then when everything happened in Vegas and they left, because they all from the East Coast. I was the only person in that particular group was from California. So they all went back. And when they came back to California, day one just went right to the studio. But he was saying, because he used to always tell them, when y'all in California, make sure y'all get up with Wack first. Like, you know, you probably heard Muta say that a bunch. They like, make sure y'all get with Wack. You know what I mean? Don't worry about the rest of these niggas, check on Wack. And y'all, so even when Suge went to jail, we was together all the time. We was together the night Biggie died. We was waiting on the house, so we was all staying in hotels. So we just all got real close. And then, you know, through pain brings bond, you know what I mean? We was all kind of fucked up. They used to come to the neighborhood every day with me. Every day. Like all my family know them. And so they just became family, bro. We just hit it off day one.
And where did that end up taking you?
Well, you know, I'm on the albums with them. I wound up getting I had a demo agreement deal with Jackie Jackson, like the Jackson family, me and Stevie J. But I was able to learn how to record. I didn't even know you had to write it first, because I just was freestyling a lot, you know what I mean? So being in the studio with them was, oh shit. I seen Pac like, if y'all ain't writing it, y'all ain't on it. So that's when I kind of started writing the songs down. It used to look like a paragraph, like I'm writing an essay. But it just started and stopped right on target. And so, yeah, a lot. I mean, you know, we traveled around. We did a bunch of Pac tributes. I'm on pretty much all their albums. We was really close. Like, me and E, we all still really close, you know what I mean? Napoleon lived in Saudi Arabia, but we talk quite frequently. Yeah. My brothers, man. Like I said, we had each other back, and like I said, I was a teenager. I think I was younger than all of them too. Noble and Moo is, I think, a year older than me. So they was always bringing me back from Compton to the Valley to Compton to the studio to Compton, you know what I mean? So yeah, we just got real, real close. Me and the realist, that's my brother, you know what I mean? Yeah. We talk every day. So a lot of good came out of Death Row, a lot of good relationships. You know, got to see a lot of shit that I probably would have never seen on the good side. I mean, it's bad shit too, but on the positive note, there's a bunch of shit that I probably would have never had access to. So, like I said, I was able to like kind of hone my skills as far as recording go. And man, it's appreciated, like I said.
What would you do differently if you could go back to the early days of the Death Row?
I would have went to the fight, number one.
The Tyson fight?
Yeah. It would have happened totally different if we was there. I would have took a bunch of pictures. I wouldn't even get in no pictures. Because I didn't know what happened at the end of the day.
Right.
So my name is, like you say, people don't know a lot because I ain't in a bunch of pictures and shit like that, but I was there every step of the way. So I think that I have those memories, but like I can't show my kids. They know, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, and it was an album I could have gave to Suge. A bunch of people trying to get me to give it to him. I regret not giving it to him. But I already had a situation, a commitment too, though. So I'm like, nah, man, this nigga already paid for it, bro.
Right.
But I wish I would have gave him that album. Because then maybe he wouldn't have been in the city when he was in the city.
What did you think about the movie Straight Outta Compton?
Honestly, I ain't even watch it. I ain't gonna even lie to you. When I saw the clip of, like, they saying Dre had punched on something or one of, like, the homies, never happened. I just didn't trust the whole movie after that. Like, I'm not watching that, because that's a lie.
Right.
Dre ain't like them niggas would have whooped Dre ass. Any one of them. So, I didn't watch it. From that alone, I'm like, yeah, nah. I didn't watch All Eyes on Me. I watched some of it. I mean, it took a long time for me to kind of deal with. I didn't want to have to keep reliving that shit.
Yeah. It's painful.
Yeah. Like I said, those were some of the best times of my life. That was before I was even an adult. You know what I mean? So it just ain't no telling how far we would be. Like, we'd probably be we all be billionaires somewhere today. You never know.
Right.
So I kind of wish it played different, man. I just wish. But like I said, we just the characters in the book. Whatever's meant to happen, happened.
What did you think about what do you think about Suge's whole situation, where, you know, Terry Carter and that set? They were shooting for people who don't know, they were shooting a promo for Straight Outta Compton, and Suge rolled up because he wanted to get paid for his character in the movie.
Right.
That's the official story, right?
Right.
What did you?
Honestly, I think he shouldn't be in jail. Just like you said about old dude from Southside that's doing all the time for Baby Lane and them. Suge shouldn't be doing in jail. He didn't initiate the crime. He got assaulted. He's a 50-fucking-something-year-old man. So I don't know why he's in jail. Well, he's in jail because he should.
Right.
So I think he was. It's not a justified time that he's doing. I don't think he was guilty of shit.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to get out the way.
Yeah, he definitely didn't run Terry Carter over on purpose.
Right.
He just bad timing.
Right. And there was rumors saying that that's who called him and told him to come up there.
Let's straighten this out or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead, Bone starts punching him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's not even from Compton.
I don't think it was his fault because dude was swinging on him through the car. He didn't pull up and start swinging out the window. I hate to say it, homie. It was approached in the wrong manner. Let him pull up, let him get out the car. Any real G is gonna, nigga, get out. Pull over, park. I'm not finna come trying to swing on you through no car window, especially no 350 pound. He can't, man, you know what I'm saying? That's just the truth, man. Yeah. That wasn't that man's fault, man. He shouldn't even be in jail, homie. Now I ain't just saying that because he's my homeboy. That's on the real. Do you think he knew Terry Carter was behind him?
I mean, because again, coming up how he came up, that was a foul play. You're not supposed to even, that's a sucker punch to a homie.
To punch someone who's sitting in the car, they can't really defend themselves.
If we're going to fight, get out the car, we got to get out.
Yeah.
So, that's bone, all that shit is bone fault. At the end of the day. Like I said, I don't want to see no nigga in jail. My homie shouldn't be in jail, though.
Yeah.
For some shit he didn't start.
Deuce, seriously, thank you for coming on the channel. I know people are going to be stoked to see this interview.
Good, I hope it do great, man.
And let's definitely have you back. And let's go down to Compton next time.
Yeah,